I've been using the JBL Tune Beam 2 for about 6 months now, and it's actually been one of my daily drivers. So I've honestly really enjoyed this set of earphones. I have used it on one flight. I use it when I go for my short walks, if I have to send something via post, and sometimes I use it at home as well for taking calls and so on. And it's definitely been a lot of fun to use all this time. So anyway, when it comes to its build quality, well, this is a pretty neat sort of matte finish. I've always liked this approach that JBL has taken. Now it does have, a few thumbnail scratches here and there, I think from when I put in my pocket or into a bag, and it will show some scratches, but this kind of thumbnail scratch on a matte finish definitely looks a lot neater than if you were to use a glossy finish. Now there are some mass market manufacturing brands like, let's say, Realme or so on, that have stuck to this glossy finish, and that just looks old within 2 or 3 weeks of use. This, after 6 months, I can say honestly it doesn't look 6 months old like those would. This, I'd say, maybe looks like it's been used for maybe a month or so, which is not bad at all. So kudos for the build quality. I'm glad that JBL does stick to this kind of build. When it comes to its features, well, this is pretty loaded. I will leave the link down below for my in-depth review. I go into a lot of detail as to what's involved in the app. It does have a lot of cool stuff going on for it, but I think one of the standout features is the spatial audio that they've introduced with this. In fact, JBL has done a pretty good job with that, but I will speak more about that in the chapter about sound. But the app is pretty straightforward. You can do what you need to do. It does have way more features than, let's say, previous gen earphones did have, being the newest, of course, being one of the newest earphones in this price segment. But I will say it is no slouch. The only gripe I do have with the app is that it gives you this or that to select for the touch controls for the left earphone and the right earphone, and there's no sort of swipe feature. But for example, if you were to choose ANC control here and volume control here, you don't have play pause control, so you have to sacrifice one for the other. So I do wish they had incorporated some sort of swiping option or a touch and hold for a long volume, a long press for volume, so that you can maintain play and pause on one side and ANC control on the other. But this is not something they've implemented. And then the other thing that I wish they had done was they do have a relax mode on the app that will play back, pre-recorded tracks like a river flowing near you, or bugs in a forest, or nighttime sounds, fireplace. It's nice that you can use that to wind down for people who don't want to listen to music while calming down at the end of the day. But coming to the thing that I don't like about it, you can keep the timer for, I think, up to 60 minutes and so on. Usually when it comes down to the last few seconds, it just has a solid drop off, like those sounds just cut off. I do wish they had sort of incorporated a slight fade off or fade away. So the last 10 seconds or the last 5 seconds or the last 20 seconds, if they just slowly dulled that sound down. I mean, if you've got them in your ear to try and fall asleep, that sudden switch off is, I think, a little unsettling. So I do hope they incorporate that at some point in time. Now, this does do very well with its active noise cancelling. I think it's up there with a lot of the mass market manufacturers as well. It does a very good job. The JBL does not disclose how much noise it eliminates, but I think it's at par with the OnePluses and the Realmes and all that sort of stuff. When it comes to its call quality, it does, I think, a pretty reasonable job. I'm not doing the call test here, but I do have a call test in the in-depth review, so I will link that down below. You can, of course, listen to it there and see if you like how my vocal tonality carries over to you, because that's how your voice will carry over to your recipient. So go check that out if you'd like to. And then coming to its sound, well, this is where I was very surprised, because I recently did a quick comparison between this and the JBL Live Pro 2. Now, the JBL Live Pro 2 is a much more premium set of earphones. In fact, I think it was being sold for double the price of this, and it should have. For that matter, it had a much higher MRP, and I strongly believe it should have stayed there purely for the way it was tuned. It's a beautiful sounding set of earphones. It sounds premium. It sounds classy. They've definitely tuned it with a very sort of with very premium materials in it, and for the person who knows exactly what they want with their sound. This comes very close to that, and by very close to that, I mean there are minor differences between the two, but I think the most significant being this one is more big in the base, or should I say it leans more towards being bloated compared to the Live Pro 2 without being really bloated. But when it comes to its other factors like highs, mids, lows, its imaging, its soundstage, these are all things that again come a step that much closer to sounding way more premium. So you do get super value for this. The main advantage with this, I'd say, over the Live Pro 2, I think for most people, is the lower frequencies, because it's definitely bass heavy. I myself prefer the Live Pro 2. It sounds a little more classy. It's better defined, better structured, tighter in the bass. But I think a lot of people will like that this is a little bigger sounding in the lower frequencies. And the main advantage is the fact that this has spatial audio. And I've heard spatial audio with other brands, call it, I mean, Oppo's, Realme's, OnePlus's, and all of those sound very gimmicky. They are just, you know, a slightly different tuning where they get a little bit louder and they try to give you that illusion of spatial awareness or the spatial reproduction. It doesn't do that very well. The minute you play similar spatial audio with these, it does significantly better. So JBL seems to have spent time trying to fine-tune the whole spatial awareness thing, or should I say the spatial audio thing, and they've done it very well in this price segment of compared to anybody else. So on a sound front, I'd say it's pretty good value for money. But one thing I will say, it's not for the person who wants loudness. I think there are a lot of people who like very loud music, like take for example the OnePlus. It's loud at lower volume, so even down at 25-30%, I find that to be much louder than these earphones are. To get to a similar level, I'd say the OnePlus at 40 or 50%, this has to be at 80%. So those are considerably louder. So that's something to keep in mind when it comes to loudness factor. This is not exaggerated in the highs and the lows to an extent where it'll cause fatigue. It's a lot softer sounding, it's a lot truer sounding, and because of that you're putting lesser load on the driver, so this stays away from distortion like some other earphones can sound. Now, the other thing that I did do with this is game. So I have connected this to my Steam Deck and I played while I was on flight, and this is the one weird thing I found happening, because I'd activate the active noise cancelling via the touch controls while I was connected to the Steam Deck. And I've tried this while I was connected to my phone or tablet, but this seems to only have happened with the Steam Deck. Whenever I was playing, maybe it's a random combination of buttons or whatever that's triggered this, but while playing on the Steam Deck, every few minutes, the ANC would switch off. It would just go on to the normal mode without an announcement. It would just go on to the normal mode. So I had to, you know, press and hold and then again take it on to ANC on. And then again I'd start playing and it would again toggle back to off. I've tried the same thing, tried to replicate it on my tablet and phone. It's never done that. So maybe there's just some weird system glitch that it's not fully compatible with a Steam Deck, but I don't know how many other people are playing with Steam Decks with this set of earphones, but that is one weird thing I did find. But anyway, moving on to the price. If you do want to buy these, the price right now I think is the best I've seen in a long time. This does go for about, well, right now I think there are some sales, which is why it's going for this price. So at the time of recording this video, it is available for about 4,999 rupees. So I think this is definitely the best I've seen it at. And keep in mind, it does come in different colors. You do get the turquoise that I have. You do get white and you do get black as well. Now, it's entirely up to you what color you want specifically. But I mean, the fact that they have that matte finish, I think is a massive plus point. And I think it'll look as good as new for much longer than glossy colors. So anyway, that's my quick long-term report on the JBL Tune Beam 2. And I do hope that this video has given you a better understanding for these earphones. Of course, if you do want to watch that call demo and a more in-depth review, I will leave that down below, that link down below in the description. But of course, I do hope that I've helped you with some sort of purchase decision. And of course, if you would like to help support the channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to. But of course, thank you for tuning in for some sound advice.